This is Kee.Audio representing 1202 Betty's Ford. Getting a chance to sit down with Marcus from the Lockebox. From what I understand, this man is a people gatherer. He's about the youth and community, and we're going to get to know him a little bit more. So what's up, Marcus?
What's going on?
Man, nothing. We chilling today. I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be here and finally get a chance to talk to you about some of the events we got going on.
Yes, sir. So what you got going on today?
Right now we pretty much just wrapping up. I think on the 21st we're having a like a community event, I guess, where people are coming out and donating toys and donating time, and we're gonna figure out a way to give back to the community, vendors and all that good stuff.
Cool. What was the focus of today's event?
Today was pretty much like the inaugural one, so it was like the first one. Erica and the good folks over there at 1202 allowed me to put the shipping container out there to figure out, I guess, like how we are going to move forward. So that's pretty much what today was. It was a photography studio, but it was geared towards the community, but it was ran by the youth. So they were taking photos and pressing T-shirts and learning how to do murals and printmaking and just a bunch of good stuff like that. Engaging community, getting people to come over here. So, yeah.
All right, dope. So where are you from?
I'm from Charlotte, the east side specifically. Grew up there for the majority of my life. And then, my parents kind of split, so I spent a little bit of time in Philadelphia. I got a little older and moved to Virginia. So I stayed in Virginia for about 10 years, and I've been back in Charlotte for like a year, maybe a year and a half.
Welcome back.
Hi, it's good to be home.
That's dope. All right, so explain a little bit more about the Lockbox.
So the Lockbox is essentially just space, right? A lot of times people don't have space to do the things that they want to do. And if they do somehow find space, then they might not have the capital or the money to get inside of those spaces. So if a person wanted to do, podcasting or nails or make burgers or something, they might find a building that let them do it, but the rent might be too high to kind of get in some of these spaces. So the Lockbox was essentially like the pilot for that. So like I said, this past one, it was just a photography studio, but essentially it could be anything. It could be a barbershop. We put a chair in there and some mats, or it can be a car wash if we put a water heater in there. So, so that's pretty much what that container is. So ultimately, I would like to see in 2026 more containers, maybe we get like 2 or 3 more and kind of go from there and build community, real community.
Cool. So how did you get into the idea of containers?
So I was driving with a friend from Virginia to California, and this might have been maybe like 21, 22. And I guess this was like during the surge when everybody wanted to get in like trucks. Like, I'm gonna get trucks and I'm gonna get me a CDL and kind of get trucks on the road. So he was telling me about trucks while we were driving. And I'm not gonna say I wasn't interested, but I was more so thinking of like, okay, what were we gonna move in the trucks? You know what I mean? Having a truck is one thing, but you need to have product or something to move out of it. And he was like, well, you kind of get contracts and things like that with the shipping containers. So I'm like, okay, where do you get, do you rent the shipping containers? Do they have the stuff in there? And he couldn't really give me a solid answer. But the whole way, I kind of thought about that. And during the time, it reminded me of Jeff Bezos, like the owner of Amazon. I read like a story about how he ended up coming with the concept of Amazon. Like he was trying to get books from maybe Washington, Seattle, or California to New York. And his drive there, he thought of the idea like, okay, we can sell books like this. And then over time, it just spawned into something more. So it was that kind of idea. I located a shipping container, and I met another guy. I don't remember who it was or where we were. But he was like, oh, if you got a shipping container, you can fill it up with like bikes and clothes and a bunch of stuff like that. Send it to Africa and kind of like make money. So then that kind of was like the thing, like, oh, okay, maybe I can find a plug or a source in Africa or one of these other countries where I can like send my stuff to. And so I ended up taking a trip to Japan. I stayed in Japan for a couple months. That didn't really work out. And then I went to Bali or Indonesia and Thailand and Philippines. I just went to a whole bunch of places trying to like find somewhere I could like get these goods to.
Yeah.
And none of it worked out. So I came back and just started to say, okay, you know what? Let me just do whatever I know how to do, right? Which is for the most part photography, because that's like photography and writing is where I got my start into like the creative space. But my father was an ice cream man when I was growing up and a barber, so I already had like entrepreneurial kind of skills a little bit. So I knew like, okay, if I get a freezer, I put a barber chair in here, we can kind of make it work from there. And it pretty much was just that. So insulating it, putting an electrical source, trying to find land, and that was pretty much the start of that. And I had it for a couple years, and during the time I was like taking all of the money that I was making and trying to like put it back into the container. I was going to Houston, and I had like got in some trouble on the way to Houston. So like I had kind of sat it on the back burner for a while, a while being like maybe a couple years. And then at the top of this year, I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a year. I'm going to give like the container a whole year of like real effort. And if not, I'm going to let it go. So at the top of the year, I ended up like applying for like some grants, stuff like that. I ended up winning a grant, and they flew me out to Toronto. Got to Toronto, and they have like one of the largest shipping container community, maybe in the Northern Hemisphere or something like that. So I got there, saw that, and was like, oh, okay. I kind of had like a better direction of like how it would go, even though that one was a bit corporate. And there, because I was already in Toronto, I was closer to Chicago, and there's a shipping container community in Chicago called Boxville. That's already kind of have like a blueprint of like, or a skeleton rather, of what I wanted my community to look like, or the community rather. And so I flew out to Chicago, met with some people out there, saw how they kind of had it. And then there was another guy I met, Chef Q. He has a container. It's a cafe that sits in a park. Yeah. He does like food out of his. And so I just kind of had all these ideas kind of poured in, and here we are.
That is interesting.
Yeah, crazy story.
Yeah, it's wild how so many different factors, shape our vision and shape how our direction in life. But that's super dope. And going back to, providing that space, I remember us talking before, about these kids like finding who they are and finding their purpose. And yes, like it's important for them to have that space to figure that out. So I think this is dope, that everything you learned, it still came back to the basis of community, and you were able to find a way to fulfill that vision.
Yeah, for sure. I think like I'm 36 as of now. Whenever I was kind of like growing up, there was more like hands-on things. So it was like, even though I guess it was kind of fading, but there were barbers and tailors and car washes like independently in our neighborhoods. Like whenever I was growing up on the east side of Charlotte, soul food restaurants and things like that. But I think with the emergence of like big business and Amazon and things like that, it kind of cuts out some of this stuff. Even stuff like us going to the mall. Like, we used to go to the mall, Eastland Mall, and just kind of sit in there with $20 and just be around all day. But I think with delivery being the way it is, people don't really feel the need to gather right in some of these spaces anymore. I think the need is still there, but we don't really have space like that for it. So I think as far as like the youth is concerned, they can kind of come to these spaces and find something to do where it's like, oh, okay, y'all over here chilling anyway. You can wash a container or learn how to press a t-shirt or whatever it is that, maybe podcasting or taking photos, and then meet your community. And then eventually over time, you'll start to foster what real community is. Like, oh, I know somebody who can do this. I know somebody can do that. Or I'll be over there all day long and they kind of, can handle this and handle that. And then before you know it, you become self-sustaining, right? So, so you don't have to leave, right now we're in the West Side. You don't have to leave the West Side to get anything you need. Like everything is already in the West Side. Yeah. So whenever people come to the city, because Charlotte's a growing city, whenever people come here, they have some place to go. Like, damn, when I come to Charlotte, what do I do? Where do I go? It's like, oh, you need to go to the West Side and go to the container community, because over there you can find everything that you might need. And if it's not there, then I'm almost certain there's somebody there that can tell you, like where it is you want to be.
Yeah. So is this specific to a certain age group?
Short answer, no. But I think a little bit longer answer, yes, because you want people of all ages to be able to enjoy it, right? And
Right.
During the seminar I had took, it was like you want people from ages 8 to 80 to be able to enjoy the space, because if it's suitable for an 8-year-old and suitable for an 80-year-old, everybody else in between can kind of like get there and figure out what it is. But I think it's more so rooted for people more advanced now. So I would like to say maybe 10 to about 10 and older. You know what I mean? Like 10 to maybe working age. Because 10-year-olds, they can get out here and observe, even if it's something like learning how to plant or doing community service type things like picking up trash. You're in proximity of a container that has food in it. So you can so even though you're not working in there, you can see what it takes. Like, oh, I notice every Thursday they come do a food order, and then every night they come take out trash. So subconsciously, you're learning things without necessarily having to like learn them, if that makes sense. And then after people, I guess, enter working age, whether that's 14 or older, by the time, if they've sat around here long enough, then they already have skills or certain tangible skills, how to take out trash or, whatever the business or guild it is that they're in. But as they get older, then they enter a more managerial type position. So it's like, okay, I don't necessarily have to, say we have a car wash, I don't necessarily have to wash the cars at this point because I've washed cars for 2 summers. So now I know that we need sponges or brushes, and you know what I mean? So now you're entering like the more analytical side of it, ordering, how to order things and how to manage people. So, if you have, 3 cars an hour, how many people is going to take for that? But these are skills that somebody could teach you. You can learn them in a book, but you won't really understand them until you've already done that. So essentially it creates an ecosystem of how to enter, do the work, to managing the work, to ultimately owning. So it was like, oh, okay, at this point, I own it. If I have the capital, I know I'm going to need a manager to do this. I know what my manager should be doing. I know what my workers or the workers and employees rather should be doing, all the way down to what the customer should be doing. So just that's far reaching. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think before then you have to start somewhere, like, which is, one container.
Right. That's interesting. So where are you stationed? Like, where can we find you?
All over. So, I mean, I'm not hard to find. I'm pretty much outside all the time. But Instagram is going to be The Lockeye. That's also the name of the website. Probably the name of the YouTube. But right now, like I said, the temporary permanent location is right here at 1202 Beatty's Ford. That's where the shipping container is. It's winter right now, or I guess entering winter. It's a little cold out. Moving into 2026, we'll get into a lot more programming.
Yeah.
Now that we've done, we just finished doing this first one, so we kind of know like the lay of the land. Okay, this is where we park. This is what we should offer, and things like that. So, and when it gets warmer, people tend to come outside more. So we can probably get into a bunch of other different things that can really, really bring the community out and really see this thing more far-reaching.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and
we'll be
what's something that you want everybody to know, to take away from who you are and the Lockbox?
As far as myself, I want. I don't know what I want people to know about me. I guess people are going to form their own opinions about who I am. But as far as the Lockbox is concerned, I would want people to know that, as cliche as it sounds, is that anything is kind of like possible, right? And even if it may not be possible for you or probable for you, if you do enough work and lay enough land, then it could be possible for somebody else. So I guess what would be more important, like getting something or letting something go, right? So, like I said, I have the Lockbox, but I want to lay the foundation for other people to come after me who are in similar or who were in similar situations as me, to where it's like, I have something that I want to do, and I just needed the space or an opportunity, and I want to provide that.
Awesome. Well, it was very, very wonderful having you here and getting to formally sit down with you and have a conversation. Thank you guys for listening. Again, we are joined here with Marcus from the Lockbox.
Ever onward.
Kee.Audio, repping 1202 Betty's Ford. Have a good one, y'all.
See you later.